This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome to Usapang Bayan. Ako po si George Chua kasama ang aking co-host na si Rach Marquez. Pag-uusapan po natin ang mga mahahalagang pangyayari at issue na kinaharap ng ating bansa.
Makakasama po natin sa gabing ito ang President at CEO ng Omnipay, Mr. Simoun Ung, at ang Chief Compliance Officer ng Omnipay, Mr. Stephen Cutler. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. Thanks.
Welcome, Simon and Steve. Maybe the first thing that we can do is we can tell them a little bit about the company Omnipay and also maybe a little bit about yourselves. Why don't we start with Simon?
Okay. Omnipay is a non-bank financial institution supervised by the central bank. We were the first ones as an NBFI to receive an electronic money issuer license from the central bank in 2012. So we've been doing a lot of pioneering work, mostly around electronic payments, especially targeting the unbanked and the underbanked markets in the Philippines. Omnipay is a issuer and acquirer for international card brands like JCB, UnionPay, Diners Club, and the like. So a lot of our work has gone around to make sure that we use cutting-edge technology that we can bring into the Philippine market and yet still be internationally compliant for best practices, payment security, and the like.
So Simon, what you're saying is that the Omnipay card is like an ATM card or a debit card. Is that correct?
Yes, in terms of the functionality, most of the Filipinos are normally familiar with credit card. Unfortunately, the credit card market in the Philippines is a very, very tiny segment of our population. Most estimates will place it between 2 to 3.5% of our population will have access to the credit cards. That's normally a very small subset of the banked community. According to the central bank, only 30% of our population today have bank accounts, and only 2% will have credit cards. So what we've tried to do as Omnipay is to provide the same functionalities that you would have with the credit cards in terms of ease of payment, to pay your bills, to be able to access your money when you travel, and have it on a prepaid card, which obviates the need from having a bank account, so we can serve the unbanked and underbanked.
Simon, so how does that work? Meaning to say, who are your customers, and is it a big customer base that you have, or do you deal directly with the cardholders or through third-party intermediaries?
We at Omnipay, we have a very different business model from the traditional banks and financial institutions in the country today. We work on a pure business-to-business model, meaning we don't engage the cardholders directly, but we work with partner institutions. So it could be, let's say, our flag carrier, Philippine Airlines. So we issue a Mabuhay Miles travel card specifically designed with Philippine Airlines for their frequent flyers. We will also work with other banks, other financial institutions, remittance companies, and the like to be able to provide those type of services for them. But all of these solutions are customized for their particular requirements. So we may have today roughly about 300 different card programs running under different banners, from the City of Bacoor ID card, City of Manila ID card, which is also functions as a payment or government to people disbursement card. We also run remittance programs with the remittance companies, where they can receive payouts onto their cards, so that the beneficiaries no longer have to line up at the branches, and they can use the money online, take it shopping at SM Grocery and the like. So all of these programs are designed with our co-brand partners, and so they're specific to that particular co-brand partner. Today we have roughly 11.2 to 11.5 million cardholders.
Simon, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what your background is, and so on?
I'm a balik Bayan. I was born here, but grew up in Canada. Kaya baluktot Tagalog ko. I have an MBA from the University of Western Ontario, and I have my undergraduate degrees in applied social psychology and international economics. Personally, here in the local community, we are quite active. I chair the Wycliffe Bible Translators Association of the Philippines. I'm also on the board of World Vision of the Philippines.
How about you, Steve? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came about to be living here in the Philippines now?
Well, thank you. I was first assigned here in about 2003 as the head of the FBI's office, the Federal Bureau of Investigation at the United States Embassy. During that time, I did a lot of work with the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, and so on. That allowed me to get to know what was going on throughout the nation. In about 2004 or 2005, I met Simon, got to know his companies, and in fact did some work with him on anti-money laundering issues. And then in 2008, when I decided to retire from the FBI, I joined Simon's group of companies and came on board as the Chief Compliance Officer for what is now known as Omnipay.
Sir, a lot of people are concerned about the safety of online transactions since some of the systems are really prone to hacking. What security measures are in place in Omnipay that you do to make sure that online transactions are protected, most especially that this involves money?
Yes, that's a great question. And a lot of times, I guess from a philosophical standpoint, we believe that there is no system that is going to be hack-proof. Everything is built by humans, there's going to be errors, and it's going to be vulnerable sooner or later. And especially in payments, there's a lot of dependencies on other networks that you may or may not control. So realistically, what we try to do is to make sure we're a harder target to hit than anyone else. And that may mean deploying cutting-edge technologies. That may mean doing extra steps to secure the transaction. For example, we were one of the first to introduce two-factor authentication in the local market. In fact, I kid Steve because I told him I think we were bleeding edge back then and not leading edge. We introduced it back in 2007, 2008 timeframe. And really what we did was to disintermediate the payment transaction. So as you go online and do a payment transaction, let's say through your laptop, we would then double confirm by running a message to you on their cell phone. So while it may be possible to hack both laptop and cell phone at the same time, it's very, very difficult and improbable to be able to hack both at the same time. And the cell phone message is very quick. It's only a few seconds. So the hacker really, it's impractical for them to be able to attack that. That said, it's not a perfect system. Right now, our internal backend, what we're deploying now is a virtual mobile infrastructure. Our most vulnerable aspect typically in any online transaction is the mobile phone or laptop being used by the user to conduct a transaction. The reason it's the most vulnerable is because there's actually a lot more power on your cell phone there than there's ever been before. So the cell phone can act as a processor. It's not difficult for people to hack the cell phone. You lose your cell phones, it gets stolen, They can root the cell phone and then be able to take out your personal information from the back end off your cell phone and then compromise our systems because our systems may not know that you lost your cell phone. So this virtual mobile infrastructure, what it does is it takes away all the data and all the processing that's being done on your cell phone and moves it to our back end. So the cell phone basically acts as a display, but all the information is actually on our back end, where it's a lot easier for us to protect. But from a user experience, it will still be the same. You'll feel like you're using one of your apps, but there's actually no data to be stolen from your phone, and there's no processing being done on your phone. It's actually all done on our back end. That's something we're hoping to deploy before the end of the year. Again, this is something that's cutting edge. It's never been used commercially anywhere in the world. This type of approach that, as far as we know, has only been used by other militaries.
The threat of hacking, sir, is just one of the challenges, I suppose. What are the other challenges that you've encountered?
I think as a country, one of the biggest challenges we have, especially from a financial inclusion standpoint, is the lack of a national ID. It makes it very, very difficult. Doesn't matter whether you're Omnipay or you're one of the big banks or you're one of the other e-money issuers like GCash or PayMaya. Without the national ID, it costs a lot of money, time, and effort for every financial institution to try to ascertain the identity of every single one of those customers or card holders. And so that's really a huge friction point, a friction cost to the entire system. And that's not unique to Omnipay. That's for all the players.
Well, we need to have a station break first. Sa amin pong pagbabalik, makakasama pa rin natin ang executives ng Omnipay, Mr. Simoun Ung and Stephen Cutler. Please stay tuned.